my mandate, and frankly, this is a great forum for me to do it, is to educate the market as to this whole new thing.
Welcome to the E-Comm Show podcast. I am your host, Andrew Maff, owner and founder of BlueTuskr. From groundbreaking industry updates to success stories and strategies, get to know the ins and outs of the e-commerce industry from top leaders in the space. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the E-Comm Show. As usual, I am your host, Andrew Maff, and today I am joined by Craig Gile, who is the president founder over at Coolmitt. Craig, how you doing, buddy? Ready for a good show?
Andrew, I'm doing great. Thanks for the time and having me on, and pleasure to chat about what we're doing at Coolmitt.
Awesome. I am so excited to have you on the show. I've done so much work with like many different fitness devices, whether they're technology or whether they're like different gym stuff, like all over the place. So really excited to talk about this product with you. I obviously like starting these off relatively stereotypically. I kind of want to give you the floor. Tell us a little bit about your background, how you got started with Coolmitt, and then we're going to take it from there. Okay.
Sounds good. Let me. I'll start with what the technology is and does, because it is, heat and overheated human body is a big problem. And so these brilliant Stanford scientists discovered an entirely new way to address that. So people might know, like, I'm hot, I'm working out, or I'm working out in my yard. I get hot, I put a misting fan or something on. Feels good for a second, doesn't do anything. These guys actually figured out a better way to get the heat out of your body and solve this. So I am the founder of the company. Thankfully, have the founding scientist as part of our company. A little bit of background on me. Not that I love to talk about myself, but that is, I guess, relevant to the story.
That's why
I basically came across this technology as a function of my background, previous career. So out of college, went to college on a Navy scholarship. So I flew jets off an aircraft carrier for the Navy for a number of years. Wow. And then got out. And then actually, we were talking earlier, moved to Philadelphia. I went to business school at Wharton. And then, like presumably every Wharton grad, I majored in finance and went to Wall Street. So did that for a while, traded bonds and commodities for banks and hedge funds for a bit. Circling back to the Navy part. So this stage of my career, getting into the startup venture world, I met and started working with a gentleman who had funded this for the U.S. military. The U.S. military has a R&D arm called DARPA, which is and has for decades invested in revolutionary science and technology. And my colleague Joe was looking for a solution for soldiers working in extreme environments like Iraq. Settles on investing in this discovery at Stanford about the way to get heat out of your body. Invest $5 million in them to create technology out of their discovery, and effectively they are able to prove it that this is the most rapid way to get heat out of your body and cool down your core temperature, which is actually what impacts your performance. And then we're taking it from there, commercializing basically that technology, working with them and leaning on them from all they've learned, but getting products that are a good fit and usable for consumers. Have our first one out of the market, and then we have future products in development to get this solution out to as many hands, literally, as possible.
Interesting. So, tell me about the product in itself. So it's literally a device that you essentially put your hand in to cool the body temperature down, correct?
Yeah, I'll tell you how it works first, and I'll tell you how they discovered it originally.
Yeah.
So the way that it works, our current Coolmitt, which is on the market and can be bought on our website, coolmitt.com, is a portable, battery-operated product. It's about a foot high and 8 inches in diameter. It does take ice in the lower part. I'll get to two questions we always get. Takes ice and water in the lower part. That's a heat sink. That does not flow through the system. The reason for that is if the body comes into contact with something too cold, it's called vasoconstriction. And then it kind of retains the heat in your body. So what these Stanford scientists discovered is the hairless parts of our body, that's the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet and the upper part of the face, have a different vascular structure that when we overheat, it radiates heat out of there. So our body wants to radiate heat when it needs to dump heat. The different vascular structure for a very, very layman's biology here is most of our body has arteries to capillaries to veins. The capillaries are narrow and resistive, so only a set amount of volume can go through them, doesn't vary at all. This part of our body, called the glabrous part of the body, has a different structure, confluence of arteries and veins that come up near the surface, but also has what are called arteriovenous anastomoses. And these AVAs when you overheat, they open up to form a wider shunt to allow more rapid blood flow from arteries to veins into the atmosphere. That's a basic discovery that the Stanford scientists had, and that ultimately the military invested in. So circling back to the product. So the product has water flowing through tubes that go to an interface. You put your hand in, and the water comes out at the ideal temperature. Again, it can't be too cold. It's mid 50s, about 13 degrees Celsius is what it's set at. Again, they've dialed that in through years at Stanford, kind of like dialing in what the ideal temperature is, cool but not too cold. So water is running through this pad. You put your hand in, and so when you're overheated, heat is transferred from the blood in your hand to this water, and convection takes it away. Goes back to the system, gets re-chilled at the ideal temperature, and comes out. So it's a closed loop of water through the upper chamber, spitting water out at the ideal temperature. Your hand heats the water back up, it comes out, gets re-chilled, goes back through. So you have a constant flow of water pulling heat out of your hand is the way I like to envision it. That allows colder blood to flow to your heart and cools you from the inside out. And then helpfully, when you're doing anything, exerting yourself or whatever, your brain is smart enough to know to prioritize cooler blood to your overheated muscles. So again, it cools you from the inside out, and it's also smart enough to kind of prioritize where the colder blood should go first.
Very interesting. Obviously, one of the kind of big trends, I would say right now, especially in the fitness space, is these cold plunges. Yep. Is it would you say it's kind of a competitor to that type of product line?
No, I think it's the same general space, but definitely a different use case. So, and I'm not going to pretend I know all the benefits of cold plunges. I do know that, post workout recovery, it's great for inflammation. Mm-hmm. I can argue it's unnecessary if you can use our technology, but what we're different because you can actually use it while you're doing something. No one in a basketball game is going to jump out and jump in an ice bath on timeout, right? So again, our device is portable and can be on the sideline. It can be in the gym, whatever. And so I mentioned the vasoconstriction thing. So people always ask me like, oh, what if my hand in a bucket of ice? So the hands are what works. Bucket of ice will be fine. Again, the body doesn't work that way. So again, it retains heat. The other question I always get is like, and it's generally phrased this way, is how long does this take for it to work? Because people think, oh, I have to do it for whatever amount of time. It could take a long time for this to work. It'd be great if it could. The reality is it starts to work right away. So if your body has to dump heat, you put your hand in this mitt, it's going to start pulling heat out right away. Helpfully, we've seen with data from both the Stanford lab as well as our partners in the field, it's exponentially faster rate of heat transfer the first minute, and then it starts to revert to the mean about, we've seen third, fourth minute, depending upon people, depending upon conditions and all. But so like we tell people like probably, if you have less than 30 seconds, it may not be worth the trouble to do it. But you have 30 seconds to 3 minutes. It's a really ideal window to do this, and you're going to get a noticeable amount of heat out of your body. How do you notice it? Is it probably a good question? If you, and this is kind of like what really kind of a headline thing that people really get into, and for good reason. So Heller and Braun at Stanford discovered they can get heat out of someone's body quickly. They stumbled upon the athletic training benefits that you can get by doing this. And so long story short, and people can go to our website and get some more details. We do have, published papers, but if you can, if you go into failure in working out, what happens there is your localized muscles overheat. And the way I understand it is they heat up the pyruvate kinase that sends a signal to your brain to stop sending ATP to your muscles, and you fail. It's a fail-safe mechanism. You stop doing that exercise. If you can get heat out before your next set, you can then go do more work. You get almost back up to get it out rapidly with our product, get back up to where you started, so you can go do like more pull-ups, bench press, whatever you're doing, you can do more work. Mm-hmm. Similarly, on like endurance training, if you're doing some kind of endurance training where you're going like to exhaustion or failure, what happens there is, as opposed to like localized muscles overheating, you have your core temperature is slowly rising, and it gets to about 102, 102.5 Fahrenheit. That's when you start to have performance degradation. So if you can forestall that from happening, like getting heat out while you're working out, you can go harder for longer. So our customers and athletes use it on stationary bikes for endurance. They use it during interval training for on the track or on the field. They use it in the weight room to get substantially more volume or strength training. And When I first heard about some of the discoveries they made at Stanford, I got to be honest, I thought didn't make any sense. I've never heard anything.
Yeah.
And some of the volumetric strength gains are, again, belie belief unless you look into it, because it's legit scientific and revolutionary discovery by them. And so, I can say almost, with 100% confidence, if someone is used to working out, they go into a gym and they go to failure, if they, as a benchmark, if they can use this in between sets, they will see at least a 20 to 30% increase in volume the very first time they do it. And then they keep training with that. There's a metabolic adaptation to your body where you have these sustainable training gains. We've seen it, in the lab. We've seen it in the field. You have like these, as long as you keep working out, you're going to maintain these gains. It's not an ephemeral thing like, oh, I don't have my Coolmitt today, I'm going to go back down to doing like 10 pull-ups. You kind of, adapted your body to that volume of work, and you have these sustained strength gains.
Is your e-commerce business experiencing falling revenue? BlueTuskr has helped many brands like yours excel. Unlike other marketing partners, BlueTuskr leverages a team of specialists to ensure every strategy is created and executed toward your business growth. As an extension of your marketing team, BlueTuskr prides itself on helping to fill in the gaps and develop strong omni-channel strategies to diversify your business from the rest. Ready to scale your marketing initiatives? Visit their website, BlueTuskr.com. That's BlueTuskr.com.
That's very interesting. So they're using it with them in different scenarios. Obviously, there's a ton of different types of athletes that can be using this. How are you kind of doing this from like a marketing perspective? It's a wildly differentiated product. There's really nothing out there like it. So how are you kind of getting over that barrier in terms of educating the market and getting it in front of people?
It's a very good question. So we are effectively, again, one thing I didn't probably focus on enough, like this military R&D arm, DARPA, its mandate is to invest like literally in revolutionary ideas. It's like moonshots. It's not trying to invest in a better gun. It's trying to invest in an entirely different type of weapon system. And again, from my military background, I knew about DARPA. I did not know that, part of their mandate is to invest in things that ideally can have a civilian use case. So things like the internet, and people don't know, internet, GPS, email, robotics were all originally DARPA projects. So it does kind of take a while for them to get to the market. So the way this product works is a new category. So our mandate, my mandate, and frankly, this is a great forum for me to do it, is to educate the market as to this whole new thing. So it's not like, a different hydration solution. It's not a different protein bar. It is a whole new way of doing things with, I would argue a step change of differential impact. So to date, we've, again, we took the most recent version out of Stanford. There is something of a Stanford diaspora that's kind of out there that kind of knows about this science, and they've kind of reached out to us. So a lot of word of mouth advertising has gone. We have had some good earned media, both on some podcasts similar to this. Some are like the Huberman Lab had Dr. Heller on it a while ago. So we're trying to get the word out smartly through that. We have had some good PR that we've arranged, and actually sometimes it's kind of stumbles upon us. Like actually today, there was a story in the New York Times' sports page, The Athletic, detailing how Major League Baseball teams are dealing with the heat, and we have over 2/3 of Major League Baseball is customer of ours. So you kind of use it in game. They kind of mentioned Tampa Bay Rays player using it in between innings, and they mentioned our product. So that was kind of like we stumbled upon that PR. So yeah, that's how we're trying to get it out. And we will get more into digital marketing. Again, we are available to buy online. So someone hears about us, they can go online and buy our product. We have done some email campaigns. We have a reasonable house list of emails that we kind of keep people updated on. It's less, I view it less as a sales channel, but more of a building community channel to keep people aware of what's going on and educate them on this. But we do need to, as we develop as a company and develop our new products, we will lean more into digital marketing, e-commerce to get the products out there. Just a quick aside, we do have took the most recent version out of Stanford's lab, created a manufacturable version of that, which is on the market now. It has been for a little bit over 2 years. So we have had really good traction with our target customers to start off because of these crazy athletic benefits. We started off with the early adopter market of elite athletes. So we have, I think it's going on 80 professional teams across all the different sports who are customers, dozens of college programs. They're great because there's multiple sports in a college athletic department.
Yeah.
Olympians, Tour de France teams, CrossFit athletes, combat athletes, special forces, military and training, and a new push, which from outreach from us, from kind of this earned media, a really good traction of late with large industrial companies who have workers working in hot temperatures, outside or even indoors in a hot factory. So as long as they have a break, they can use our product, get that heat mitigation. So it's not just an athletic performance solution; it is a health and wellness solution for people as well. So long-winded way to your question, like so far it's been earned media and word of mouth. We will get to with new products, more of a leaning into a more standard fare influencer digital marketing kind of marketing campaign.
That's what I think. I mean, obviously for a brand like yours or a product line like yours, when it's wildly differentiated, social media influencer tends to do the best because they can kind of help educate that market. But I also know that the recovery space seems to be growing like a weed. Like a lot of people, they're really big on the standard, like the fitness side and everything from the many, many different ways that you can exercise and things like that. And now all of a sudden, in my opinion, over the past several years, you've started to now look at people that are focused on the post-workout, which is what are they doing from a recovery perspective? So that's why you're seeing like all these different types of saunas and, like I mentioned, like the cold plunges and things like that. So I can see how for a product line like yours, now is a fantastic time for it to kind of hit the market because it's definitely a growing industry. What's the plan in terms of a product line expansion? You mentioned that was kind of the goal with the future marketing efforts.
Yeah, two things on that. So to touch on the recovery, that's a really good point. The way, and we can confuse the market if we say we're a recovery product because then they're like, oh, it's just like a Theragun or we might get a muscle massager, right? So, but it is in that same vein. So I like to refer to it as kind of a more dynamic recovery because again, you can do it in between your workout, which most times you're not even going to bring out a massage gun in a workout with these crazy benefits. It does accelerate a post-exercise recovery. So as an example, we have Tour de France teams who use the product, as we speak, starting that. And so they'll use it in a few ways, but probably the biggest use case for them is post-stage recovery. So they have, a little bit less than 24 hours to recover for the next stage, but they want to accelerate their recovery. So what they'll do is, the way when I'm told is, they'll have their Coolmitts like literally like in the van or right after the stage, going back to the hotel, and they'll get the heat out of their body. The way I look at it is like your body's a checklist of things to do in recovery. If you can take care of that heat right away, it accelerates the rest of your body's mechanisms to kind of do that whole recovery. So it gets you in a better shape for the next day for that type of recovery. Another thing that, and by the way, everything I've said, I have data on. I have anecdotal reports of this, and actually Dr. Heller at Stanford is finishing up a study on this. But in terms of recovery, we constantly get reports from credible athletes of, oh, it's crazy, I did this workout, I had so much more volume of work with my Coolmitt workout. I fully expected to be, pay the price a day or two later with delayed onset of muscle soreness, DOMS, delayed onset of muscle soreness, speak that clearly. So they come back like, I didn't have any DOMS. What is going on there? And so we get it like all the time. And, they're publishing this paper, but effectively it's what they have theorized is there's less inflammation during the workout, and that causes less soreness down the road. So how does that manifest itself for recovery?
Nice.
The next day, 2 days later, you can go hard and not worry about, detracting from your workout the next day or 2 days later. Yeah. So that's the DOMS. So, so I mean, again, sometimes I think I come across like, oh, this is like a magic elixir for everything. But and to be fair, it is.
As you should.
It fixes everything. But it is. It does. The human body has a lot of things that go wrong when you're overheated. It's the enemy of a lot of different things. So if you can address that seamlessly and easily, which you can with our technology, a lot of good things happen. And so where we are on the product development side, again, we got our first product out to the market, into some key people's hands, not just because they're elite athletes and it's a good marketing launching pad. Got a lot of data and feedback from them. And part of that feedback was like, here's what I like about the product. And here's what I like to see in future products. So we have in late stage development, 2 products. One is a better, more industrial version for the commercial market. So that'd be athletic teams, the gyms. It can kind of be set up as kind of a more permanent station. In industry, so like break rooms for companies, it can be kind of run more as a permanent station, way less maintenance, and actually will capture data from the users, and we can tie it into an app. People can see like how much heat's being taken out of their body while they're working out. They can compare their Coolmitt workouts with other things. That is built as a platform for that. So it's not just the cooling, but also a data platform. And then we also have in late stage development, what's really exciting is a mobile version that'll be coming out. Again, all this consistent with the science, that we have the institutional knowledge of how this works for one with the Stanford scientists, but also what they've learned in the past, it doesn't work as well. So that is part of our design process to make sure we are effectively the gold standard of heat transfer from the human body. This mobile version is a really unique way. I don't want to give away too many, quote unquote state secrets, so we do have patents around what we're doing. But it'll basically, we're calling it, working title, Coolmitt Unleashed. So it'll be a mobile version, kind of take around. It'll provide an hour or more of cooling and easily, quote unquote recharged with ice. So it's going to be like really kind of democratize the solution to some degree, because it's going to be substantially lower price point.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. And so back to your point, when we get to that, we think that'll be a really good fit for a smart, ideally effective marketing campaign to kind of get this word out there. And, step one is create education awareness of what the capabilities and benefits of this technology. And then step 2 is like, converting that interest into sale and getting out to the customers, which is not just, for me to ping, ramp up revenue numbers, but to actually get the solution out to people. Because, every day, particularly this time of year, here people dropping like flies in the heat. And when I see it, this yesterday and today at Wimbledon were, crazy hot days and players are dropping like flies. We do have a lot of tennis players who use this in training, where it's a really good use case for tennis. And it's our job to get it, more mainstream use for tennis. As a frustrating aside for me, every single sport, professional sport, has had no problem for our athletes incorporating this in competition. Tennis has had a little bit of like questions or pushback, so we're trying to get over that with tennis tournaments. But and every time I see like a report in the press like so and so like had to default or something because of heat, I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, I have the solution for that. But we'll get there
one day.
Yes.
Craig, this was awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're super busy. It was awesome learning all about Coolmitt. I'd love to give you the floor here, tell everyone where they can find out more about you and, of course, more about Coolmitt.
Well, I am particularly uninteresting, so don't want to learn much more about me. But
all right, then.
I do have a LinkedIn profile, Craig Gile. We have a great team on our early startup team. Like I mentioned, the founding scientists are part of our team. I've plucked away 2 good friends of mine from business school to help me run this over the last couple of years. So we're all excited to get this out to people. I just want to emphasize that the benefits are just making the human body work more effectively. All it's doing is having your body naturally get back to where it wants to be in an accelerated fashion. Easy to implement. Benefits are vast, and so I think. Companies, teams are a really good use case for our current product. As we move down the road, we democratize this so everyone can use it. So, look us up, follow us. at Real Coolmitt is our primary channel on Instagram, where most of our stuff goes out, but we'll expand that. Website coolmitt.com is a lot of information. If you can give us your email address, we have a distribution list. We're not pinging you constantly like I get from the latest one I'm getting is from J. Crew, sending me a lot of stuff like I'm going to buy new clothes. They've somehow got my email, but if we try to send out regular good, authentic content to educate the marketplace on all the benefits of this technology. So love to build that community for anybody that don't need to be a professional athlete. If you're working out in earnest and want to maximize your workout, we have the solution for you.
Love it. Craig, thank you so much for being on the show, buddy.
Thank you.
Everyone tuned in, thank you as well. Please make sure you do the usual thing, rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff on whichever podcast platform you prefer, or head over to the ecommshow.com to check out all of our previous episodes. But as usual, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you all next time. Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to the E-Comm Show. Head over to ecommshow.com to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or on the BlueTuskr YouTube channel. The E-Comm Show is brought to you by BlueTuskr, a full-service digital marketing company specifically for e-commerce sellers looking to accelerate their growth. Go to BlueTuskr.com now for more information. Make sure to tune in next week for another amazing episode of the E-Comm Show.